Welcome back to the Learn Essential Oils series. Today we are on episode number 2, and it is on Purity Matters. Now, I would say this is the most important video out of the entire series because this is what changed my mind around everything, convinced me around Young Living, sold me, if you will, and also encouraged me to get rid of every other essential oil that I had in my house. So I often hear from people, and quite frankly, it was my experience too. It's like, hey, essential oils, they smell really good, but they don't really do anything. And it's because I didn't have the right kind. And we're going to talk about that today. The other thing that I hear from people is, well, I already have pure therapeutic grade. And here's the thing, y'all, you can't trust labeling. Okay, labeling, there's no regulation on essential oils. The minimum that they need to have to be called pure and therapeutic is simply 5% of the essential oil in the bottle to be considered pure and therapeutic. So we need to be very careful. They can actually have synthetics, chemicals, fillers, and be labeled pure and therapeutic. So that's why we are going to talk today, and I'm going to share with you around why purity matters. So yesterday we talked a little bit about what essential oils are and how they help us, and I mentioned that in the essential oils there are chemical constituents, and these chemical constituents are what help us. So we're going to talk about those. So think of it this way. Let's use lavender as an example. It isn't lavender oil per se that helps us. It's all of the chemical constituents inside lavender oil. So they might be sesquiterpenes, monoterpenes, limonene. Don't worry, you don't need to know these. But no, it isn't just lavender oil. It's all of the parts and pieces, the chemical constituents of lavender oil, and each one has its own therapeutic quality to it. So there might be one that supports the digestive system, one that supports emotions, another chemical constituent that supports the nervous system. So what we want to realize is not oils are made the same. And in fact, they are very similar to maple syrup. So if you're familiar with how maple syrup is processed, you've got 3 different grades. You've got grade B, grade A, and Mrs. Butterworth's. Okay, so grade B doesn't taste as good. It's not as sweet. It's not processed very much, and that's why. And because of that, it is chock full of nutrients. It's really good for you. Grade A, processed a little more, fewer nutrients, but tastes a little bit better. And then you have Mrs. Butterworth, basically sugar water with a maple flavoring to it. No nutritive value whatsoever. And that's the same as essential oils. You've got the truly grade A essential oil that is truly pure and therapeutic and has all of those chemical compounds, chemical constituents we were talking about. And then it goes all the way through to grade D, which is merely the floral water. So when essential oils are processed, they're actually steam distilled. When they're processed well, they are steam distilled. And when the steam is cooled, the oil sits on the top and there's floral water on the bottom. And grade D is simply that floral water. Smells really good. No therapeutic value whatsoever. Now that said, there is in grade C and D, there also can be ones that aren't even made, the essential oils don't even come from plants. They're just processed in a lab. So there's no therapeutic value to it whatsoever. Now, what allows grade A to be grade A? And what ensures you have all of your chemical constituents? What affects all of these chemical constituents? Well, I gotta tell you, really everything. Whether or not you have non-GMO seeds, and in fact, Young Living hand picks the seeds. I have had friends who have gone to harvest, and she said, oh my gosh, we really did. We went through and we hand picked thousands of seeds. Whether the soil is truly organic, they have to be planted at a certain time. Some of the crops need to actually be harvested at the precise hour that they have the most oils available to them. So the most chemical constituents. So seriously, some of the crops, they will micro distill every hour, 24 hours a day for 2 weeks to find that right moment when the crop is ready. Not for all of them, but for some. And workers will get up in the middle of the night to do the harvest and take care of the harvest. Also, what affects the harvest or the number of chemical constituents is how long the crop sits in the field before it's scooped up, how long it sits outside the vats, how long it's in the vats where it distills, what temperature it's distilled at, how many minutes it's distilled at. They've even found that Melissa, which is lemon balm, the Melissa plant, can't sit on dirt at all. When it sits on dirt, it doesn't process very well at all. They actually had Young Living had to create a piece of equipment that protected. Actually, as they're cutting it, it goes up this little ramp and right into a dump truck to gather it, so that the Melissa doesn't even sit in the dirt after it's been harvested. It's just amazing what goes into it. Now, even then, Young Living only bottles 30% of what they produce, because even when they've done everything right, there is this small percentage of oils that actually still has all of the chemical constituents that Young Living expects. And they test it 3 times at the farm, 3 times before bottling. They are meticulous to make sure it is up to Young Living standards. Now, here's the thing. That only can happen if you own your own farms and partner directly with the farmers to make sure every step of the way is being honored. Can you start to wrap your head around this? If you really want therapeutic grade essential oils, you need to know they are grown exactly in the right way, harvested at the right time, blah, blah, blah. I'm not going to go into all of it again. And you know what? Young Living is the only one who can make that claim. I know I sound like a salesman with here, but this is what made me passionate about Young Living. And really, when I learned this, I threw out all of the other oils we had in our house. All of the other oils, you just don't know. And if there are pesticides used on the crops at any point during the process, they're highly concentrated in the oils. I mean, that's what we love about the oils, is they're highly concentrated. But unfortunately, that means that the pesticides or any chemicals or any fillers or any synthetics are also highly concentrated in the oils. And I have to say that I have to admit, I am more careful because I have kiddos. I'm not as careful with myself, but because of my kids, I don't want to put that in them. So if you want truly beneficial oils, if you've had an experience with oils in the past and you're like, oh gosh, it really doesn't work, you haven't tried Young Living, and it does make a huge difference. So make sure you've got the right quality. All right, guys, if you have any questions, please feel free to post below. I would love to hear from you. I would love to hear if you have any questions about this. And I was going to say join me tomorrow for the next episode, but you know what? I can't remember what tomorrow's episode is. It's going to be a good one, I'm sure. We will continue this discussion tomorrow. Let me know if you have any questions. I am so excited to support you in this process, and I really hope I can help you get some safe, therapeutic grade, awesome oils into your home. Have a great day, everyone. Thanks for joining me.